Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Yes, indeed, we're going to be continuing on with all the stuff I've been working on. Although it's almost done. I basically have all that drawer stuff done. I just need to do the combat widget, basically. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff that's in progress. I've got the combat log overhaul. I still have the alchemy change UX stuff. I thought I had some other things to clean up in here as well, but maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be continuing on with that, just improving the drawer UX and all that good stuff. But before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. So go ahead and head on over to the Steam page, give it a wish list if you're interested. You can also support the game on Patreon. This is way too small. If you subscribe at the top tier for at least 1 month, I'll send you a key for the full game when it releases, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits as well. So that will be a nice little perk for those of you who want to support the game. And also, you could pick up my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. All those things are linked below. Thank you to everyone who has supported and who will support. Thank you all for being here. It's very much appreciated. And yeah, let's get right into it. Hello, Malicious Rabbit. Welcome back. Clickertail, welcome. Jahar, hello, hello. Good morning, Ninja Link. Always good to see you. Nathan Byler, welcome. Any of y'all watching the World Cup? Nope. Sorry to say. I you know, soccer is not that big of a deal in the United States. Although it seems to be picking up popularity. Honestly, I wouldn't even watch it anyway if it was super popular. I'm not into sports. Not into watching sports anyway. Yeah, same. Clickertail. Welcome, by the way. Not as much as normal. Half the games are 4 a.m. here in the UK. Oh, that makes sense, yeah. That makes sense. Seen a lot of Scottish people recently. Hello, Emerson, welcome. Mastercar, welcome. Do I plan on running a Kickstarter? No. No, I do not. I don't plan on doing anything basically. I don't really want to do early access. I don't want to do a Kickstarter. I just want to get the game done and throw it up on Steam for all of you to purchase, and that'll be that. But if you want to fund the game prior to release, again, Patreon is an option. You know, it's basically a pre-purchase. You subscribe for 1 month at $15 a month, and then I'll send you a key. So if you want to do that, that is an option available to you. Not only does that help me out because it gives me some resources up front, but you'll also, or it will also help me because there won't be the Steam 30% fee and all that stuff. So yeah, but you don't have to do that. You can wait till it's on Steam if you prefer to do that. You're playing for a pro team right now. Is that true? Very nice. Very cool. Hello, Kapata Sensei. So I'm not the only one. Thank you for being the change in the industry. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, no early access, no Kickstarter. I mean, the thing is, like, look, I feel like a Kickstarter is too much work. You know, it's like I'm okay with respect to funding. You know, I've been funding myself for a while now. The end is in sight. You know, I'll collect whatever revenues, whatever money I'm going to collect when the game comes out, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, at this point, like, you know, we'll get the game done in like 5 months-ish, hopefully, and then we'll see what happens. All right. Combat widget. So I actually spent a bunch of time last night playing around with these animations because I want these drawer animations to feel really good. And so I was just like spending hours like tweaking numbers and like refining the animations, and you might be shocked to learn that they don't look that much different. So you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference on stream for a lot of these things, for a lot of these drawer animations here. I did change this one. This one is new. So instead of the board lagging behind when you close this, the board is actually kind of like the thing that's forcing that to close. See how it like bounces into it? Which makes more sense because that's like more in keeping with the accordion style where, you know, these things expand left to right as you're expanding it out. And then when you collapse it, they all go right to left. So that just feels a little bit more natural. But yeah, I just played with the timings a bunch. I played with the animations a bunch. The main thing that I don't want to happen is I don't want this to feel sluggish, right? I don't want it to feel frustrating or slow to like open your inventory and everything. But I also don't want it to appear like instantly, right? So I have to find the middle ground there between making a nice animation and also not making the player wait for too long. So I think I hit that balance. I may end up even shortening the animations a little bit, but honestly, this feels fine to me. Like, I think this whole total animation takes like 0.3 or 0.4 seconds before something's interactable. So I think it's okay, but like I said, I may end up tweaking that some more if it's too slow. But I think it's all right. I think it's all right. And then when we're in this kind of event, this feels really good. So I think it's okay. I think it's all right. But we do need to make this combat widget move over. And we probably want to... Do we want to? We probably want to disable the start combat button. I think somebody brought this up. So there's a bunch of changes I want to make to this flow as well. So we shouldn't be able to start combat from here. And then if I open up the alchemy during combat, it should pause the combat in the background. So in other words, like the combat should not run unless you're in a good state for that to run. So we will address that as well. I hope that's not, I think I tried to do that one time and it was just like a mess, but hopefully the changes that I've made over the past couple of months have made that not the case. So disallow combat start when alchemy open, and pause combat. Pause combat or disable. Let's see. Pause combat when alchemy open, or disable ability to open alchemy during combat. Let's see what that does. Let's see how that goes. But first, let's handle the combat widget. RNYFC. Very nice. I don't know what that means, but that's very cool. No need to reply if too sensitive, but how has the publisher been with Patreon? Do they take a cut of that now? I don't know. So this was not... let's see. I mean, my publisher is very, very chill. So what I would say is think about anything you could think of with respect to our agreement and think of what the most friendly option would be to me. And that's basically the option that the publisher went with. So the Patreon arrangement is like, basically it's still all for me. The publisher has no control or no influence over the Patreon at all. So that means that it's all me. They were gracious enough to even allow me to continue offering that Steam key perk at the top tier, even after we agreed, even after we signed the agreement. So my publisher is very, very chill. They are very great. They're doing great work for the game. They're really easy to work with, really easy to get along with. So yeah, but What was I going to say? I think that's basically it. I'm a solo dev as well. Appreciate your content. Awesome. Well, glad to have you here and welcome. Game's looking great. Super excited. Yeah, me too. I just need to get it done. What would you say took most of your time building and designing the game? Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, I would almost make a distinction between most effort and most time. Because I think when all is said and done, the assets, the art is going to be the thing that took the most time. If you like add up, I mean, maybe that's not true. It probably is actually the case that the actual programming took the most time. So that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know if time is like the right thing, because like I think the programming just took the most time because it's a relatively complex game. But then you could ask the question of like, oh, well, what system took the most time and everything? So I would almost rephrase it as like, what took the most effort? And I think I'm going to change your question for you. What took the most effort was the game design, like just the actual design of the systems and how everything works together. And I'm still working on that stuff, but like the alchemy system had to go through multiple iterations of work. The map system went through multiple iterations. So just the actual like designing of the systems and how they interact with each other from like a game design perspective, not just like a technical implementation perspective. That's the thing that took the most effort. But in terms of raw hours, like probably just the programming, maybe the ability system probably took the most time to implement, and because I'm still working on it. Do you watch Jess Code's videos? I have watched a few, yes. I like the new change feels natural. Thank you, NetK. Yeah, I like it too. Hello, Asherwad. Welcome. Good to see you. Tan Talking, welcome back. Was there any part of your game you had a hard time with or had to learn a new skill for? I would say just the pixel art. I mean, I kind of had some pixel art skill going into the game, but my pixel art skills have definitely improved as I've been working on this game. So, not necessarily strictly learning anything new, but building upon the skills that I already have, for sure. Building my own game, I feel like assets and balancing takes the most efforts. Yeah. All right, let's go to the drawer UI. So, combat widget. We have the widget margin container. Where does this need to go? This probably should go I think it would make the most sense for this to go here. Although now that renders behind. Margin left is 102. We'll turn that off. So the problem is this renders behind this tab container here. Is there a way to fix that? Actually, I suppose that won't be a problem because I just moved that over actually. I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, that looks weird. Well, that's not going to work. So I could potentially leave it where it was. The one thing that I'm concerned about is if the player board is too big, it might get in the way. I mean, we could try it. Let's see. Let's just say the player board is like really tall. Let's go 3 by 12. If the player board is too tall, yeah, it's going to clip behind. What am I going to do about this? Well, I don't really like putting it here. Let's see. I don't really like putting it here because then it slides all over the place. I could delay the animation, the widget animation in. See how it's sliding like that? That looks weird. I could delay the widget animation in until after these animations have settled. Although it still looks weird over there. I mean, is this kind of a board ever going to even be possible? How many board increases are there? So there's 3. There's 1 in each region, so there's 3. And then there's 2 from the boss. So that's 5. So in order to get to this point, this is 12, I would need to start with a 3 by 7 board. Which probably would never happen. I don't know if I would ever have a character with a 3 by 7 board. The other thing is the obelisks can grant board growth as well. And an obelisk has a very rare chance of choosing a board growth. The other thing I could do is I could just make it so that you have a certain limit, right? I could just make it so that your board cannot exceed 10 in either dimension. And I would just surface that error at the time of trying to grow it in that direction. That would be another fix, so I could put a hard cap on it. The idea is that the hard cap would never be met, but it would just be like a fallback just in case a player ever somehow got lucky enough to get to the point where they could grow the board in a single direction a bunch. The other option that I'm thinking about is like, what would a combat widget redesign look like? Could I... Is that really 10? Oh, it didn't save... Oh, it didn't save by 10. I don't know why that happened. Maybe the undo reverted the project settings change. Yeah, so 10 is the limit. So 10 cells in the Y direction is the limit. Probably something similar for the X dimension. Like, the fundamental thing about this game is that it's just going to break if the board is too big, because I don't have any way of handling that. So I think 10 by 10 is like the upper limit. This is definitely not possible. Like, this is definitely never possible. Just there aren't even enough obelisks in a map for this to even be an option. Even if you somehow got a board growth option at every single obelisk, this would never happen. So it looks like 10 is sort of the upper bound of what I can support. So that may be the solution to that. Instead of trying to shift this combat widget around, maybe what I do instead is I just put a limit, a hard limit of 10 in either direction. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, because I don't know if I can make this shift around in a way that looks appealing. I mean, the other option to do, though, would be to, instead of having the combat widget come up from the bottom, I could have it slide out from the left. So when I open this, it slides out from the left with everything else. Although I don't think that would look good. I don't think that would look good at all. I think coming up from the bottom feels very nice. I also want to fix that too. Okay. Let's do that then. I didn't really want to put a hard cap on the board size, but I think it's reasonable to do it because, like I said, the game is just going to break if you exceed a current boards or a certain board size, and so I think just preventing that is going to be a good thing to do. So there's a number of ways in which I can do that. What version of Godot am I in? 4.7. 4.7 stable mono. How do you find orphan nodes? There's a function you can call called print orphan nodes. I thought there's also in the debugger, if you go to monitors, you could see orphan nodes here. That doesn't necessarily help you find which nodes are orphaned, but if you use the print orphan nodes, I think is what it's called. Yeah, print orphan nodes. This will print all those node names. So this is usually very helpful for identifying like what types of nodes are orphan nodes, and then that usually helps you narrow down where they're coming from. The pot looks even better now. Thank you, Blair William. Appreciate that. So in terms of restricting the selection here, what I could do is I could either make the relevant direction I could disable the relevant direction. So I could just prevent these options from even being shown. Like, so if you already are at 10 in the X, I just remove the left and right options here. The other thing to do is just to add it or make it so that way if you click on them, they error and they say you can't do that. I think I might do that. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do click validator. For direction. Oh, do I have to do this for each individual one? North clickable control dot add clickable validator. Yeah, let's do private static func bool create click validator for direction. All right, so now we need to get the player board. Let's see. Let's just do var player board is equal to context helper dot board manager dot get player board. Actually, let's do this dot get board manager. Oh, I can't because this is static. Never mind. I was right the first time. Okay, player board, get player board. If player board is equal to null, we'll just, I don't know, we'll just return true. It's kind of weird to say that, but we'll just return a function that returns true. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll say return. Actually, let's just do this. Take the absolute value of the direction to get the additional dimensions. For new dimensions is equal to player board inventory component dot dimensions plus additional dimensions. If new dimensions dot x const int max dimension is greater than 10, or new dimensions dot y is greater than 10, then we're going to return false, return true. It's a little bit of a weird way of doing that. Oh, I forgot to use the max dimensions here. Okay. So now I just do create clickable click validator for direction vector2i dot up. We do east, south, west. Okay, and then we do right, down, and left. So there is a situation in here. Let's say that the player has a 10 by 10 board. They can't click any options. Now that should never happen. However, I don't want to be in a situation where that would break the game. Even though that would never happen, this would create a soft lock because you would never be able to click anything. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do something a little bit counterintuitive, but basically what I'll do is I'll say we're going to grab the existing dimensions. And we're going to say if existing dimensions dot x is equal to max dimension, or let's do greater than or equal to max dimension, and existing dimensions dot y is greater than or equal to max dimension, we're just going to return true. So basically, this is a little bit weird, but... Oh, wait, no, is that going to work? Let's see. Yeah, so it's a little bit weird, but essentially what we're saying is if you're maxed out in both directions, just let the player keep growing. Because, like, this should never happen. So this is basically just like an anti-soft lock measure. But both dimensions have to be maxed out. If both dimensions are not maxed out, then what it's going to happen is it's just going to disable growing in the directions that would exceed the max dimensions. So yeah, I think that's okay. So this is a little bit weird, but like, again, this is just an anti-soft lock measure. If the player gets to the point where they have a 10 by 10 board, it's probably because they're cheating or something. Cheat engine shenanigans. And we'll just say, I give up. Just keep growing your board. I don't care. You're already breaking the game, right? So this should, during normal play, never happen. Alrighty. So we've got those clickable validators. Okay, so now we need to handle the invalid click. So let's go do this. Invalid clicked. Let's just do plus equals. What in the heck? On invalid clicked. And then we got to create an announcement for that. Translation string. The board cannot grow any more in this direction. Group. Translation group UI. Private const string UI grow board error announcement. Okay, and then we can just do down here announcements dot create announcement UI grow board announcement. Okay, and then we also want to do a create invalid shake tween. How do I usually do that? I think I might have to do a little bit of extra work here. North clickable control. East clickable control. South clickable control. And west clickable control. I mean, I probably should have just done all this stuff in a loop, but maybe, I don't know, maybe that wouldn't have worked actually. South clickable control, clickable control. What the heck? Okay. Clickable control dot create invalid shake tween. Oh, it needs to be a node 2D. I'm gonna have to think about how I want to do that. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciated. Thank you. With the message Yummers. Welcome back. Good to see you as always. Hello, Dione. Welcome. Sometime. Yes, indeed. I think debugger using the object DB profiler allows you to take a snapshot, and that shows you all the existing nodes at a certain point in time. You can see orphan nodes better. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I already have action replay for Alchemortis. Normalize the name Error Jiggle. Error Jiggle, that's a good one. The tricky thing in here, though, is that I don't usually apply the invalid shaking to clickable controls. Let's do create invalid shake tween. I don't really like changing the state in here. All right, here's what I'm going to do instead. Let's just copy this. Okay, control.create tween. Tween control offset transform. Control there. Control.offset transform position is equal to vector 2, 0. Okay, so this is not going to work though unless I have that offset transform enabled. So I will just enable that for this scene specifically. I'm not going to worry about the tween managing that state because that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'll just toggle this on here and we will make it, yeah, visual only. All right, let's see what happens. I hope I did everything correctly. Oh, I have to build the translations, I forgot. Otherwise, I'm not going to see the announcement text properly. Okay. So we've got a 10 by 10 board. Oh, that's not going to work either. Let's do 9 by 9. No. We want one to at least be 10. So we've got a 9 by 10 board. And I need to change generate test map. We'll get this into the right debug configuration eventually. There we go. The invalid shake tween did not work. But now since these are both 10 by 10, or these are both 10, it's 10 by 10, I should be able to just grow in any direction. Yeah. So that makes sense. Okay. Let's test 10 in the X. I don't know why that shake tween isn't working though. That's a little bit concerning. Offset transform is enabled. Oh, it's not taking... Oh, it probably is doing that, but it's not taking its... Oh. The sprites are not children of these nodes. Ah. Well, I think I just did all that effort for nothing. The problem here, though, is that these are all rotated, I think. Oh, maybe not. Oh, they're not rotated, right, because they have different highlighting on them. They're actually individually highlighted, so they're actually all in a 0-degree rotation. So that should work, actually. I just need to change this now. Yeah. Oops. Okay. What is an invalid click? So my clickable control node is responsible for basically handling like all the clickable elements in the game. And what invalid clicked is it's essentially a way. So basically the way it works is like the clicked signal is only emitted when the click is valid, meaning that I can assign click validators, a list of click validators to a clickable element. And that's essentially a series of functions that will be invoked. And all of those functions have to return true in order for the click to pass, in order for the click to be accepted. So I know in my game, whenever I connect to the clicked signal, I know that that's always a valid operation. Like I should accept that click. Because what happens is that clicked signal is not emitted if any of those validators return false. If any of those validation filters fail, it does not emit clicked. It instead emits invalid clicked. So I have two different signals that I can listen for, and I know that when I receive those signals, that is already valid or already invalid. So it prevents me from having to do like I connect to click and then I have to do validation in the click method before I do what I want to do. I'm instead handling that at the level of the clickable control, and then I'm just connecting to each individual method, right? So I can just handle, you know, what happens when I click in an invalid state. I just handle that here. And then what happens if I click in a valid state, I do this here. Right? So clicked is on grow button pressed. So when clicked is handled, that means that all the validators passed, and this is a legit operation that I should handle, right? So I think it's just a nice way of cleaning up the code. Also, the presence of those click validators makes it so that I can outline these things in red instead of white when you hover over them, so that you know that this is just not going to accept your click, right? Okay. Let's just do another quick test. So again, I mean, I'm expecting it to be the case that basically no one ever encounters that hard limit there. But it doesn't hurt to have the hard limit. Okay. I think we're golden, pony boy. This is an unused method, but I may as well keep it just in case. Okay. That's a little bit annoying. Am I gonna have to deal with that? Anyway, I'll look at it later, I suppose. Okay, so I guess we don't really need to worry about the combat widget anymore. So we want to disallow combat start when alchemy is open, and we also want to pause combat when alchemy is open. So those are going to be the next two things that I do, and then we should be golden from that point onward. There was something else that I wanted to do. I can't remember. Anyway. Me with 90% of my code eventually, yeah. Hello, the Groovy Dance. Welcome. Good to see you. How are you doing? So it allows you to give feedback to the player to know what options he currently has. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, this is my clickable control class. This is just a global class, which means that I can just instantiate this anywhere, right? So I can do clickable control. And this clickable control is basically just my class for doing all the things that I need to constantly do for any clickable element. This also handles controller focus for me automatically. So basically, the clickable control serves as a clickable area for the mouse, but it also serves as a focusable area for controller support. And I just have all kinds of options in here, right? I can define a click area polygon, which actually is being used here. So you see these polygons here. I define like essentially the clickable mask, and then when this click area polygon is present, this has point method will return true if the local point is inside of that polygon. And otherwise it just returns true if the point is inside the rect. So has point, I actually have a Godot tips and tricks video that's in the work right now. The works right now. It should be out within a week or two. And I go over this has point method, how it works. But yeah, I can define like specific oddly shaped clickable areas for each clickable control. I also have the ability to change how the outline animation functions, what the outline target is, like where the outline actually goes onto. I can toggle the visibility of certain things on hover. So that's what this visibility toggle targets array is. I can change the hover audio, which I actually don't think I'm using this anywhere. I can change it so that it uses right click instead of left click to detect clicks. I can change it so that it emits the click signal on release instead of on button down. I can change the default mouse filter for it. And I can also have it stop propagating events when invalid is clicked. So anyway, and then I have controller focus options here as well. So this is like my Swiss Army knife of anything that's clickable in the game. I use this, right? And yeah, that's basically the thing. How do I use interface concept in GDScript though? I don't think you can, really. The only way you'd be able to do somewhat of an interface is to use something like duck typing, which duck typing is essentially just a way of like, I think it gets the name from if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. So basically duck typing is just like you look at the class and you say, does the class have this method or have this property? If so, then we'll just consider it to be a type of this thing. So if you wanted to use interfaces, I think that's probably like, or something interface-esque in Godot, that's probably what you'd have to do. That's not very scalable though, it's not very friendly, but you could do that. When do you think the game could launch full release? Before the end of the year, before the end of this year. Might have missed it, but any reason clickable control takes Polygon 2D as a child instead of just a sprite? Yeah, the Polygon 2D defines what the clickable area is. So in this case, these are oddly shaped, right? And if I look at my polygons, you see these are like the polygon masks for the click areas. And the reason I need those polygons is because by default, controls use their bounding box, right? The rectangular area. So these red rectangles, those are the default clickable areas for control nodes. The obvious problem though is that I've got quite substantial overlap here in the corners. And that makes it so that way the mouse behavior is really odd because one of these might be on top of the other. You're intending to click on this one, for example, but you may actually end up clicking on this one because it's on top of it, right? So the polygon area is just a way of filtering out the mouse events for each hovered clickable control. And Godot will disregard the mouse events if the mouse is not inside the polygon. Use the abstract tag on the class, then specify a handful of empty funcs with default returns. Best I was able to come up with. Yeah, something like that. You have confidence. I'm also working on a game solo, but it's the first, so I could not tell for the life of me when it will be available. Yeah, first game is hard, for sure. You don't really have an idea of how long things take. As long as you don't abstract the funcs, they aren't required for the class to be extended from. Oh, gotcha. But you do need to create an instance of the abstract class. First shippable game is extremely hard. Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I would probably do if I wanted to use an interface system in Godot is I would probably create like a utility script. Yeah, some kind of utility script where I could check like, yeah, I don't know. It would just be a mess. I probably would approach the duck typing. Like I would probably just like put empty methods following some convention on my classes. And then I would have a utility function where I could say, you know, is this object of type cat? And then what that would do is that would look into the has method, or it would call has method and would look for like interface underscore cat or whatever. And that would return true from that. That might be how I would approach like a quasi interface system in Godot, but that would only really be useful for like tags though. If you actually wanted to call functions on the interface, that wouldn't necessarily work. Yeah, I think I think a trait system is coming, so hopefully that comes soon for all you GD script lovers. Utility autoload script, yeah, something like that. I don't know. The thing that I'm really loving about C# too is code generation. Like I'm actually making significant use of code generation in this project. And I'm finding like, as I do more development in Godot, I'm finding even more places where like having automatic code generation would be really nice. All right, anyway. You mean code generated during runtime? No. C# has source generators. And what source generators are is they're basically programmatic ways of generating new C# source code. They're programmatic, they're algorithmic. It's not AI generated. It's you define how the code gets generated in a very explicit way. And then at build time, C# will generate that code and then build it with your project. So for example, this scene attribute is one of my attributes from my Godot utilities library. This allows you to use the node attribute, which essentially creates automatic wiring of nodes for you, automatic fetching of nodes. So you call wire nodes here, wherever you want to call it. All of this code is generated. So this wire nodes method was programmatically generated by code. It's code generated by code. And then all this wire nodes method does is it just inserts all of these different ways of getting a node and assigning the node based on the name of the member, right? So in this case, clickable coordinator, right? So we go to wire nodes. It says, okay, I'm going to try to assign clickable coordinator to the node with name clickable coordinator, the node with name percent clickable coordinator, so on and so forth. It goes through a bunch of variations to try to find the node it's looking for. And then if it doesn't find it, it does some fallback code to like, do all this. I think this needs to be cleaned up. I don't think there needs to be a block like this after every single one. I think what I could probably do is just take a record of all the nodes that failed to assign and then do a single loop at the end. But anyway, this is generated code, so it doesn't need to be like super clean. Boilerplate from attributes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yet another feature Rust does fantastically well. These are called macros, and they're literally black magic. Awesome. I think it's kind of similar, like, well, I don't know anything about Rust macros, but like C or C++ has macros as well, or defines or something. I don't know anything about that, though. I need to look into how that's done because it saves so much time with repeated formats. Yes, yeah. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will continue on with some of the other stuff I need to work on here. Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back to the stream. To me, your favorite niche e-celeb is back. Okay. Hello, Little Crown. I just followed and I want to make a game that's based on Red Dead Redemption, but it simulates life at that time, but with a twist. People I know from this day and age would get a basic version of themselves made into the game, so I can simulate how I and my friends and family would try to survive the Wild West. Times of the Oregon Trail. How would I do that? For context, I have a team of 5 that want to do that, and we'll use Unreal Engine for it, and the graphics and models will be like PS2. You want to make a game that's based on Red Dead Redemption, but it simulates life at that time with the twists. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about this one. I don't want to discourage you, but if you have to ask the question of how to make that game, it's probably beyond your capabilities. And I don't say that to be rude or mean or discouraging. I'm just trying to be realistic. Because to be honest, I don't even know how I would make that game. Like if it's the kind of game that I'm thinking you're talking about, which is like you somehow gather a bunch of data about real people who live in that time, and then you try to simulate their lifestyles in like some kind of like open world or massive simulation thing. I don't know if that's going to be easy at all. So what I would encourage you to do, you know how to do it. Okay. What is the best timeline to follow? I don't know. I have no idea. If you think you know how to build a game, then yeah, I don't know. I've never built a game like that, so if you feel like you know how to do it, then I don't know what to say beyond that. Sorry, I can't be more helpful, but I just don't know. I guess I don't have a clear idea of what the idea is, but also I don't have any idea how you would go about building that game. But I wish you luck. Complicated question, yeah. Game would be in a small map. I mean, maybe what I would encourage you to do is like, maybe don't do the most complicated parts first. Maybe just try to create like a Western simulation game, like a very basic like city builder or some kind of simulation sandbox. See if you can get that working first, and then if there is value to be found in like pulling in real data, maybe. But like, you know, this is one of those kinds of things where like it's a cool idea, but I honestly I don't know if that's like much of a hook, you know what I mean? But you're not asking for feedback on your idea, you're asking how to implement it, so I don't know. I have no idea. First, study the time and make the AI of the world and NPCs, and then make the AIs of my friends. Yeah, I mean, I think you have done more thinking on this than I have or could right now, so all I can do is wish you luck, and I hope something interesting comes out of it. Okay, so let's see. Disallow combat start when alchemy is open. So how are we going to do that? We have the combat widget here. This combat widget is a mess. Look at this freaking... This combat widget somehow is more complex than the whole drawer UI system. I just don't know how that even happened, but here we are. I mean, look at this. Look at how many nodes are in this tree. So where's the combat button? See, this is the problem with this. Combat disk clickable control. So what we probably want to do is one problem I have here is I don't have a way of really getting the current alchemy drawer state. if I want to disable this, button, I need to know if the alchemy is currently open. But I actually don't have a flag anywhere that's easy to read that tells me if the alchemy is open. I could look at the drawer UI. Is this a... This is a node. Get card mouse events manager. Oh, I just want to click into this. Node extensions. Here we go. Do I have drawer UI in here? I don't. Is this drawer UI ever used in the group? Let's see. Get first node in group. Drawer UI is drawer expanded. Is drawer expanded? That might need to change. Here's what I can do. Let's just do this. Public void register drawer UI. So we've got our drawer UI here. Alrighty. And then we can, I don't like to do this, but so here's a thing that I've been wanting to do more. If you feel like you need to store a reference to an external node inside of a script, first of all, I don't like doing that. I like to design my things such that I don't have to hold long-lived references to external nodes if I can help it, right? I would much rather use signals instead and connect to the signals. But in this case, the combat widget is going to be created and destroyed all the time. And it could be created or destroyed while the alchemy drawer is open. Actually, wait, is there a different way I can do this? Where is the create combat widget actually done? Create combat widget. Try open inventory. Okay, it's doing it in try open inventory. Interesting, okay. And this always happens first. Let's do this instead, actually. Yeah, I can avoid holding onto a node reference. I can avoid that. Let's instead do like a public void initialize. And we're going to initialize this with bool is alchemy open. Because that's really the only piece of data I care about. I care about what is the state of the alchemy drawer when this thing is created. So let's do that. This dot is alchemy open is equal to is alchemy open. So now the benefit of that is that inside of here, when I do create combat widget, I create this. I do combat widget dot initialize with alchemy is alchemy open here. And then what I can do is I can connect to signals to listen for the rest of it. So I can do game events dot instance dot connect to alchemy opened. On alchemy opened, game events dot instance dot connect to alchemy closed. So there we go. I am now avoiding holding on to long-lived external references to nodes. I generally think it's a good idea to avoid that if you can, because that's how you end up with all kinds of invalid instance errors. And yeah, you want to make your scenes as self-contained as absolutely possible. They should ideally know almost nothing about the external world. The only thing that they should be responding to is signals that they're connected to. That's the ideal state. That's not always possible, but that's the ideal state. What I tend to do is I try to say, okay, like here's a good heuristic for you to know if you're building your Godot scenes well. Open up your scene and just run the scene. Just run the scene by itself with nothing else in the game. And we'll see how well I do on this. I actually don't know. So what happens if you run the scene? Do you get a bunch of errors in your output? Does it crash? In this case, there are no errors. There's no errors, there's no warnings, there's no debugger, nothing. So that's a good heuristic. Like if you can run the scene by itself and it functions. I mean, it may not function because like obviously the start combat can't do anything because there's nothing else here. But if it functions, you can run the scene and you get no errors. That's a good indicator that you've designed your scene properly because it has essentially no external dependencies, and or you're handling all of the potential null reference issues gracefully. So that's a really good heuristic, I think, in my opinion. But I'm just a guy on the internet, so you don't have to listen to me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the combat disk clickable control. We're going to do add clickable validator. We're going to return not is alchemy open. So we're only going to be able to click that if the alchemy is not open. But we also want to connect to invalid clicked. Invalid clicked plus equals on invalid clicked. On combat disk invalid clicked. Private void on combat disk invalid clicked. Okay. Do I need this play click here? What is even happening? Oh, register clickable control. Instance.clickplayer.play. Oh, I see. Why am I doing that? Let's call play click. So yeah, I was confused about that. This play click is not necessary in there. It was double playing the click sound, which is not good. Anyway, on combat disk invalid clicked. So we want to create invalid shake tween, and then we need to create an announcement for that. Cannot start combat with alchemy open. Group translation string translation groups .ui. UI combat start error. All right, and we just do announcements, create announcement, UI combat start error. All right, let's see. Did I miss a message in here? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your message. Unless it got deleted or something? Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see your message. So the state of the drawer UI is not a global. It is not. The way that the drawer UI works is that it emits signals through the game events. So game events is like my global signal bus with just a bunch of global signals. So the drawer UI emits signals through that game events object based on its state changes. And then because this is a globally accessible like event bus, I can connect to those things. So I did just that in here, right? I'm connecting to Alchemy open and connecting to Alchemy closed. Those signals are ultimately being emitted from the drawer UI. However, I don't need to connect to the drawer directly. I don't need a direct reference to the drawer to know when that happens, right? So it's not a global state. It is a global event, but it's not a global state. Again, global state is one of those things that I try to avoid if possible. Can't be avoided in all circumstances, but the less global state I have to manage, the better. Yes, you can, Little Crown. You can join the Firebelly Discord server. You could share your progress in the game dev channel. That's for sure welcome. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't hide the combat UI? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't hide the combat UI. Oof, I'm being called out. I mean, honestly, like, you know, do whatever works for you. I'm just telling you how I like to build my games. The most important thing is your game functional and are other people enjoying playing it? Those are like really the two most important things. You know, if your game is a spaghetti mess and it sells 1 million copies, then, well, what are you going to say about that except good job, right? Like it ultimately doesn't matter. It's just I really enjoy programming. I really enjoy trying to create clean, readable, easy to work with systems. That's one of the things that makes programming so enjoyable for me. So it's like a constant puzzle, right? It's not just a puzzle about how to implement the functionality that you want. It's also a puzzle about how do I make this as clean and elegant as possible, right? How do I make this as friendly of a developer experience as possible? That's like a secondary part of the puzzle that is not strictly related to the functionality of the game, but is fun to figure out. And I'm not perfect, right? Like there are plenty of places in my code where it's like, oh, this could be much cleaner. So it's a trade-off. But anyway, so if I open Alchemy and I click, ooh, that's not right. Do you think that's right? I don't think that's right. So this is actually changing the position, so I need to... Yeah, this position... We'll just create another node 2D here. Combat disk root. Oh wait, no. Yeah. This should have a position of 0 now. Yeah. Your game creates and destroys the combat UI in the game, right? Yes, that's true, yeah. That is true. Looking forward to an Alchemortis decompile vid in YouTube. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I try to keep that in mind when working on my game. For me, it's when I have to do the same thing a second time, that's a sign it needs to be cleaner. Yeah, true. I don't know how to code everything. I use Claude to help me out with stuff I can't figure out, but I try to keep in mind that I'd rather put forth effort in designing the game to make it fun. Yeah, yeah. You had Copilot autocomplete on and haven't seen you use an LLM in ages. I find them near useless for game dev despite using AI at work. Curious what you think now since you tried them too. Well, the only reason I'm not using the Copilot autocomplete anymore is because it breaks my C# IntelliSense. Like, they pushed an update to Copilot that just completely broke it. Like, if I turn this on, I don't get... Oh, is it working now? Did they fix it? No, see? Unless it's just rolling the IntelliSense into the inline. See, I don't know. They made a change here that made it work differently than what I'm used to, and I just, like, found that really annoying. Maybe it's fixed now. Anyway, we'll just leave it off for now. I don't really feel like messing with this at the moment. But in terms of like the AI, yeah, I mean, I think I've been using Claude a lot for validating things that I change, particularly when I was pushing bug fixes to the playtest version. I would fix the bug, and then what I would do is I would say, hey, Claude, this is the issue that I was having with the game. Here's my fix for it. Can you analyze the code base and see if there are any potential side effects to this change? So I'd almost use it as like a QA smoke test to like point out if there were any potential areas that I needed to pay attention to with the change that I made. And it did catch a couple of places that I was able to go into and investigate further to make sure that the functionality worked. What else? I use it for like architectural planning too. If I want to change an aspect of the game or refactor something, generally what I will do is I will propose my plan to Claude, and then it's kind of like the same thing. It will tell me if I like missed a case or if that refactor will present a new problem. And like instead of solving a problem, it will like present a new problem. It's useful for those things as well. But I certainly don't use it to like generate the code, because yeah, I need to know what's going on in the code base. So I use it sparingly. I use it in very targeted ways, but I don't use it as like write 100 lines of code for me right now, please, thank you. You know what I mean? Spending hours on little code issues that Claude can fix in a couple of minutes. Yeah, I did that last night too. There was a bug I was having with one of the drawer animations, and it was not really a bug. It was really hard for me to reason about like how the math was working, because I was doing a bunch of weird stuff with offsets. Actually, I can show you. Create alchemy board compensation tween. So if you remember, this is the one I was struggling with on stream yesterday. I spent like 2 more hours working on it, and I just couldn't get it smoothly working. So I was just like, all right, Claude, here's the problem. And ultimately what it ended up doing is it just fixed like 1 or 2 little bugs I had in this block of code here, and then it started working. So it was just one of those things where it was hard to me to visualize the math of what was going on. And I was really close, but I was tired of like working on it. So I just had Claude help me fix the remaining issues. I like it for that kind of thing too, because it's like, this is a drawer animation. I've already looked at it for a couple of hours. I've got it like 90% of the way there. I really don't feel like banging my head on this for another half hour or hour. So send Claude at it, and in 5 minutes it's finished, you know? So I'll use it for that kind of thing too, because like when it starts to not become fun to do that stuff, when it's just me playing whack-a-mole with various like edge cases, that's when it's like, all right, fix it, Claude. I'm not having fun with that anymore. Okay, let's try this. So if I open alchemy, okay, so that's working. Cannot start combat with alchemy open. So now I need to make it so that when I open the alchemy, it pauses the game. Not showing partial symbols would drive me insane. Yeah, me too. I'm surprised you use it all. Autocomplete, the mental overhead of reading the suggestion and thinking about what I want to write was too much for me. Yeah, I mean, in my experience, it was mostly good at writing what I was going to write anyway. It was kind of annoying, though. I got a fleet of agents just doing code reviews while I'm watching you do this. Yeah, code review is, I think, a pretty good application of it, because it does tend to catch edge cases that maybe you didn't consider before. Because me, even being knowledgeable about all the systems in my game, there might be like one detail buried in like one particular ability in the code base that is affected by this change that I made. And if I had pushed that change, I would have had that subtle bug introduced now. So I do like it as like a code review. I do like it as like a QA smoke tester. I think those are really good uses for them. Signals versus C# event handlers. What do you use? I use a mix of both. I try to use signals when I can, but I have some pure C# classes in the game that obviously can't use signals because they're pure C# classes. So I will use events in those cases. All right, so now when the alchemy is open, I need to know if I'm in combat as well. Oh, I already have that. Is in combat. Look at that. So on alchemy open, if is in combat, how do we actually pause the game now? I think I do that in the card inspector if I'm not mistaken. Game speed manager, pause locks. This.get game speed manager. I have no idea if that's going to work. Let's see. So put the skeleton dragon here, do that, I do this. Yeah, see, I can resume here. That's the problem. So that pauses the combat when I open. That unpauses. The problem is I can click these. I may just add clickable validators to those things as well. Clickable control.add clickable validator. Not is in combat. Let's do not is. Yeah, let's do not is in combat. And or not is alchemy open. Invalid clicked plus equals on disk invalid clicked index disk clickable controls. Okay, so I need the roots. Do I have the roots? Private node 2D, disk, roots. Okay, speed 2, okay. Oh, this is a little bit annoying. So disk roots index root.create invalid shake tween. All right. Let's see if I even did that correctly. So I start combat, do this. Oh, of course that didn't work. Son of a biscuit. I really don't know what I'm going to do about this. Except for create yet another root. Does this even... Oh, this is locked. Yeah, that's not even going to help me. I guess I just do the icons. Let's just change this to disk icons. Speed icon 1. Paused. Speed icon 1. Icon 2. Speed icon 3. I guess I don't need these roots anymore. Get rid of those. Okay. This is going to look a little bit weird, but I just need some kind of feedback on this. I just need some kind of feedback. Can think about reworking that later. Oh. All right, let's see. Okay, that seems to work. I do want to check and make sure I can still click those things when I'm not in combat. Yeah. Oh, is it not restoring the speed? Oh, it doesn't restore the speed. Interesting. So the intent is you can change the speed outside of combat and it will just use that speed on the next combat. The problem though is that when I'm in an inventory mode, that's not being restored. So that's a little bit weird, but let's create this translation string first. Close alchemy to resume combat. UI combat resume error. Okay, we'll go all the way down here. UI combat resume error. I joined a game jam and have 6 days left and I haven't really developed any games before, so what should I start with? What is the best processing way for this? Just get something working. I mean, yeah, it's not super helpful, but just start. If you know that you're creating maybe you don't know what game you're creating yet. Brainstorm a couple of ideas. Think of which one sounds most appealing to you. Identify like the very most basic parts that are required to make that idea work. And just start working on those. So like you might have, I don't know, let's say that it's a puzzle game where you move blocks around, right? So the first thing you may start with is like, get your block moving working. Like however you're moving the blocks, right? Move it with the mouse, move it with the keyboard. Work on that first, right? And then you might say, okay, well now I need to be able to move these blocks in a way that satisfies a puzzle. So set up the basic conditions for like moving a block over to a gate or something. And then it says, you know, hey, the level's complete or whatever. You just build it one tiny step at a time. Just do the next best thing, and you keep repeating that, and then eventually you have a game. C# IC? Yes, indeed. Hello, S8D. Find that it's a sweet spot as well, using it as a sounding board. I find the cognitive debt you get from generating code to be counterproductive for any work you care about. Yeah, I think that's largely true as well. I don't buy that having to read the code at this level actually helps you understand the code base. Is that too much of a granular level to us to matter at the architectural level? Well, the thing is, the architectural level exists because of the granular level, right? Like, it's the granular details that build up to the architectural design, right? At least that's the way that I think about it. Like, you can come up with a very nice top-down architectural plan, but the details about how the data actually moves through the system is largely what informs like what the architectural decisions need to be, right? And so if you don't have an intimate knowledge of like how data is moving around at the granular level, then you can't design high-level systems to abstract that away to make that easier to reason about, more maintainable, more extensible, right? So it's the granular details that drive the overall architectural vision. And if you're saying, well, I could just design the architecture without having intimate knowledge of the granular details, I think that's how you get in a situation where you design something that actually doesn't fulfill its purpose. That's why, you know, the common advice is like, you get something working first, you let the requirements shake out until you have a clear idea of the problems that need to be solved, and then you build a layer of abstraction explicitly designed to solve those problems that you encounter. Trying to make a game that isn't very complex, some simple game loop with minimal systems required, yeah. Hello again. The first game should be open world RPG, obviously, yeah. Yes, it should. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, the speed is not being restored in the inventory. Also, did I build this already? Yeah. So we built that. So why is the speed not being restored? Update speed. Is this update speed not called? I don't understand this. So if I change this speed here and I close this, why is that update speed not working? Oops, I didn't want to do that. I already messed it up. I already messed it up. My game speed manager is null. Oh, that would explain that. Why is my game speed manager null? Oh, because I'm not... Oh, this was always a bug. What the heck? That would explain that. Okay, so now it's properly storing the speed that I've got configured. I think if I start on paused, though, it just automatically defaults to the first level. Yeah. Okay, and I do this. Okay, that works well enough. So now it should save my speed. So if I choose to and I bring this back up, yeah, that's working. Okay. All right, so I think we're good. I need to remove that. Okay, we can mark this one as done. All right, the alchemy drawer changes are basically finished. Aside from whatever other future tweaks and polish I'm going to do. But yeah, that's basically that. So I've got a lot of stuff on my to-do list. I still need to finish the combat log overhaul, but I think I'm going to do that this afternoon. Off of stream. So yeah, but the combat log is getting there. I mean, it's almost done. I just need to finish the visuals and whatnot for it, but love a simple fix, yes indeed. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break again, and then when I come back, we'll find something to work on here. Yeah, we'll find something fun to work on. I don't know, maybe we'll do some art. We'll see. But I'll keep going for maybe another half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So anyway, I'll be right back and we'll continue on. Oh, the stream is not over, Clickertail. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. You get more of me. Isn't that nice? Anyway, BRB. Alrighty, I'm back. Let's just doodle for a bit, I guess. Let's just doodle for a little bit. Okay. Why is there a break there? that present in this one? Let's see, alchemy drawer. Where is that coming from? Oh, it's on the mushroom. Oh. Oh, I see. I guess my mushroom is not on the proper layer. Okay, that makes sense, I suppose. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to worry about that. The layers are weird. Anyway, it's got a mushroom here. What I want to do is let's create a new group here. We'll call this decorations. I basically just want to add more. So I want to make this feel more organic. What I may do is, yeah, let's just put the decorations there, I suppose. Oh, the problem is the draw order for the A-sprite layers is reverse of what Godot is. So things at the bottom are in the background. So it always trips me up. So this, if I want to put the mushroom in the in the foreground, I move this up. Yeah. Anyway. Whatever. We'll just keep it there. The problem, though, is I need to be able to draw on top of the pot. So I almost need two different decoration layers. Okay, let's just create another. Let's create some grass, maybe. New group. Okay, are we ready to start drawing yet? I don't want to obstruct. I don't want to obstruct too much of my pot because I put a lot of effort into that pot and I don't want to sully it with a bunch of elements that are covering the art. So we will take anti-sully measures for this. Okay. Alrighty, so we've got that. Let's just outline it already so I can see it better. We're gonna fill this in with purple. Okay. Honestly, maybe I need to fill this all in with this shade first. And then I can selectively use this dark purple. Yeah, something like that. My friend who is doing the music for Alchemortis is working on a new track for the game, and I have it stuck in my head, which is probably a good sign. That's probably a good sign. I'm like jamming to it in my head while I'm doing this. So I can't wait to share that with you all. Hope you like it as much as I do. This feels a little bit weird to me now. I think I almost need, well, maybe not. Let's see. I feel like this part is a little bit too long. Can I shrink that down? Actually, let's do this. Let's get rid of the floor for now so I can actually see what's going on here. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, something like that is better. And then what I can do is, I don't want to draw too much attention to this, but to the plant here, but we can add, oh, I need to re-outline this. Add some very light shading. More stream. Hello, Molk. Welcome. Just checking in to see how things are going. Things are going well. As you can see, we're just doodling right now, adding some decorations. Adding some decorations to the alchemy here. But yeah, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, and then don't want to overdo the highlights, obviously, but yeah, I think something like that is probably okay. So what I'll do next is I want to create a darker background here around the plant here. That will separate it from the floor a lot nicer. Yeah. So now we end up with a situation where this is what the grass looks like. Oh, I need to fill some of this in. Well, maybe I'll... I wish I could manage these a lot better. The problem is the pot is made up of like many different parts that have to exist on different layers. And so it ends up being a little bit of a nightmare to manage, but actually, I don't know. Yeah, that's probably fine, actually. So we just create some little extra darker, thicker outlines there. And even though this is the same color as everything around it, I think you can make out the shape a lot nicer. So yeah, there's our grass. And then if I wanted to, I could potentially like just cheat and duplicate it and maybe flip it the other way. You know, I don't think I need to be like super, like draw everything super unique. I think if I just make them, you know, space them out a little bit or something. I could also make this one go behind the pot, right? So this one could be over here with the mushroom on top. Actually, it might be better if this one is flipped again. Can I do this? Oops. Hold on, I'll get it. There we go. Yeah, we might do something like that. I don't know. We can call this one grass foreground so that they're differentiated. So yeah, the goal is like, make this not look so empty. You know, make the pot look like something that's part of an environment rather than just like sitting on this floor here. I think that'll work. But we need more decorations than just those things. What is this drawing software called? Sorry, you probably answered that question a million times. All good. Feel free to answer or ask questions. This is Sprite. This is Sprite. Really good piece of software. I have no regrets about purchasing it. Okay, so what other things can we do? I mean, I could do more grass here. I think maybe doing like a smaller mushroom over in here somewhere. So let's do mushroom small. Let's see what we can do about that. I might do like even, let's see. So we do this. Oops. Might even do like a smaller, like conical mushroom here. Honestly, it might be better on this side. Kind of make it growing out of the cracks here a little bit. So, feels kind of odd for grass to be growing out of where the fire would be. There's no fire. It's a magical pot. Excuse me. Welcome back, Ninja Link. Oh, I think I already said hi to you. I can't remember if you were here or not. I don't know if I'm going to be doing fire, but I mean, the thing about the decorations is that once they're drawn, I can put them wherever I want. So if I decide that I'm going to add fire to this, then I can, I can do that. There goes the cat again. Being annoying as always. All right, we'll see what we can do about this. So this might be a little bit too thick. I don't know, maybe something like that. We'll figure it out. Like I said, I don't want to block too much of the pot. 1 second. This is the annoying one. Can I help you? Why are you like this? Literally can't get like an hour to work without the cat screaming his mind off. It's unbelievably disruptive. Anyway. This highlight actually, the light is coming from like head on. So I need to make that apparent. Hmm. Come here. I don't know what to do about this one. Let's see. What happens if I do more of something like this? Yeah, I don't know. This one is a little bit tricky. This one is a little bit tricky. That doesn't look terrible, I suppose. Yeah, that doesn't look terrible. I think what I want to do is maybe put some more black in here. Problem is this mushroom is a little bit small, so I risk making it, oops, I risk making it noisy instead of clear. Honestly, that might be okay. The question now is, where do I put it? Do I want to put it over here? There's too many mushrooms over here. Although it would look nice next to this mushroom. Maybe, oh, I need to put mushroom small here. Yeah, we could put it something like that. I don't know. I think it looks good enough as a mushroom, but it's just a question of where do I put it? Do I put it next to the other mushroom? Do I put it over here somewhere? Maybe behind the pot a little bit. Hello, Ashwin. Welcome. What art app is this? This is Sprite. Chaos Kitty, yeah, he just wanted to go out again. Yeah, it's Sprite. Yeah, it's a skin on Sprite. Yeah, there's a skin. The cat is QA. It stands out a bit since it's near the shadow part of the pot. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what would be a good place for this. I mean, I can, you know, I don't need to do it here either. I can just move it around in Godot to where it feels nice. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe I don't even need. I don't need multiple versions. If I'm gonna do multiple copies of the same sprite, I can just flip them in Godot. Okay, let's just take what I have and let's just play around with it in Engine and see what it looks like. Oh, the other thing I maybe want to do is for this mushroom small. Maybe I want to increase the outline around the bottom a little bit. Okay, that should work. So we've got our mushroom. Oops, wrong layer. There we go. So we've got that mushroom, got our mushroom small, and we've got our grass. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. Oops, did I just... Yeah. Honestly, I don't know where I'm going to put those decorations because I don't think they're going to animate well. Didn't you have 2 grass? Where'd the other one go? Yeah, I deleted it because it was just a flipped version of the other one. So what I'm going to do, instead of trying to design everything in A-Sprite in terms of the layout, what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to do it in Engine. And then if I want to use like a duplicate of an asset, I'll just flip it in Godot. So we've got the grass here. See, I don't know if this is going to animate that well, but let's see. So we put something like that. We got the mushroom small. See, I could do things like this where I put the mushroom behind the grass a little bit. I guess that looks kind of weird, but I'm going to update the floor texture as well, make it fit the decorations a little bit more. What? Flip H, here we go. We can see how that looks. I'm going to do more decorations, but I just want to get a feel for if this is the right direction. Also, I want to see how the animation works. Oh, it's outlining the mushrooms with the pot. That's funny. Okay, so I guess those can't go there. Oh, it's part of this whole visuals thing, right? Okay, so I need... Oh, it's all part of the same clickable control. Okay. So I actually just need like a foreground root or something. So node 2D. Let's just put this on the floor root there. The grass here is okay. It's just these in here, this mushroom small and grass, these need to go into the foreground root. There we go. Artifact manager instance is not valid. That's okay. It's one of those things I was talking about earlier where if your scene doesn't work when you run it standalone, that's probably not good. All right, I think that looks pretty nice. Let's see what it looks like in game. And I'll do, like I said, I'll do more decorations. I don't want to go overboard with the decorations either, though, because again, the main thing is the pot, right? This looks a little bit unbalanced. I may just move that over more that way. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, these are going to need to fade out as well. Oh, that's okay. Fudge. Okay, all right. So I need to fade all those out and then make those follow the floor. How do I want to make those follow the floor? I really don't want to animate the foreground root. So what I may do is add a remote transform 2D. I guess we'll just keep that. We're going to assign that to the foreground root there. And we're going to just match the position. Okay, and then in terms of the foreground root, we want to, let's access that as a unique name. We're going to say use parent material here. And then for these, we're also going to use parent material. Okay, so I need to fade out the foreground root, but first let me move this grass a little bit. Roughly to where I had it before, I suppose. Yeah. All right, so let's grab the foreground root and we're going to need to fade that one. So let's see. Foreground root, here we go. All right, where are those fades happening? Where are those fades happening? Here we go. Visual utilities, fade in, foreground root, keep progress. Oops. All right, let's make this a little bit nicer. Okay, and I could probably just, instead of creating a new array every time, I could probably just store that array at the initialization, but that should be fine. All right, let's see if it works. Kind of thinking of making a homemade McGriddle. Oh, I was going to get McDonald's today too. I'm going to get McDonald's. It's waiting for me. That didn't work at all. Oh, I have fade in twice. What am I doing? Copy paste error, I suppose. What am I even doing? And those things are not following... Why are they not following the floor? I don't understand. Oh, maybe I'm not actually animating the floor root. I think I'm probably animating the floor. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. Okay, let's try again. The other thing I need to do is I need to disable here, enable black transparent false. So I made a change to my fade out shader, which when it detects a black pixel, it will just make that black pixel fully transparent, but I can toggle whether that happens or not. I thought it was off by default. It is off by default. So why is that not working then? Did I save my fade material wrong? Fade out material. Black transparent. Oh. This should be 0 by default. Oh, okay. Let me just make sure that that's not saved incorrectly in my visual utilities. Stop! I don't want to open the script, bro. Black transparent is 0. Canvas group fade, black transparent is 0. Okay. That flag is supposed to only be, like, I should be able to opt in to the black transparency rather than that being the default. So hopefully now those things will fade better. Oh, legendary skeleton warrior. Awesome. I think that looks pretty good. Influence the influencer, yeah. It's true. Anyway, how are you guys feeling about the extra decorations here? I can always add more decorations. I may add something a little bit bigger off to this side to balance it out a little bit more, but I also don't want to go overboard, right? Like, I don't want to clutter this whole thing with decorations. I think basically I might just add like one extra decoration over here in the background and then call that good. Subtle. I think that this gives this more life. Like, it definitely gives it feels, yeah, it feels just less empty, you know what I mean? You like it? What happened to the cauldron? It's getting upgraded. What if you could upgrade the pot based on decorations you collect around it? Yeah, I mean, I think there's an alternate version of Alchemortis where, you know, it's all about doing the pot upgrades and stuff, but that's not what's happening in this version. And I probably, like I said, I'm not gonna be adding very many new features, if any. I think the game is basically feature complete now, and so it's just a matter of polishing and balancing and adding content and quality of life features and everything. I'm pretty happy with the features that exist in the game. Of course, there's always more that I could do, but I think it's already creating a compelling experience. Lots of people who tried the playtest played for several hours, and so if I could just fix the things that make the game not fun or too easy, I think we'll be in good shape. Tired belly, yeah. Okay. So let's see. Add. Okay. I think that's cool. I'm going to cheat and say add more decorations to alchemy, and then just mark it as done. Love the stream's question. Do you ever use AI to help write code and work on this game? And if not, so why? I do, yes, very occasionally. Very occasionally. Just to help with things that either I'm stuck on or just as like a QA smoke test. But I don't use it to write the vast majority of my code, so always like to think of alternate mechanics. Yeah, of course. Like, I think the problem with Alchemortis is, like, I think it is a really solid game. And because it's really solid, you almost can't stop yourself from thinking, oh, it would be cool to add this and that and like all this stuff. Like the ideas for the game just flow very naturally. And so it's pretty challenging to say, okay, I really need to evaluate like whether this new feature idea I have is actually going to make a difference, a meaningful difference. So the last feature that I added, right, was the board growth modifiers, where you get a buff to the row or column that gets added during board grow. Now that was a new feature, that was an increase in the scope, but that new feature was implemented specifically to address the feedback that the board growth didn't feel that meaningful, right? Like you grew the board and you essentially only had two options, right? You add a row or a column. Whether you grew it left or right, it didn't matter functionally, it just changed how the items shifted on the board. And whether you grew up or down was the same thing. So you only really had two options for board growth. And it was just it's just a straight power increase, right? There's no interesting decisions to be made. And that was a weakness of the board growth, right? So the board modifiers feature was designed to make your decision about which way you want to grow the board more of a decision, right? Make it something that you have to think about for a little bit about how it's going to fit into your build if you get this modifier versus this one. It's designed to add some tension in some cases too, where maybe you would prefer to grow your board, you would prefer to add a column to your board, but there's a board modifier that adds a row that would work really well for your build, right? And so now you have this tension of like, I originally wanted a column, but this board modifier is going to be good, so which one do I go with, right? So that's what I mean, like those kinds of things where I may add new features between now and release, but those features have to be in service of like actually explicitly making some part of the game better. If the feature is just like, oh, it's just an extra feature, it just adds a little bit more depth to the game, then I'm probably not going to do it. This game is only missing one thing. What is it? Uh-oh. What is it? Do you look at that done section with pride or exhaustion? I mean, it is satisfying to see a lot of stuff done, but I mean, look at all the stuff in the backlog still. But here's a way of looking at it, right? So I've got 20 bugs, I've got 18 to do, and I've got 93 in the backlog, right? And I've got 107 in the done. So this is what, 130, 140. So if I just said, I'm not going to do anything else, I'm just going to address these 140 items, that would basically just take like, I don't know how long. I mean, this done column has only been like a month of work. So I've done like 107 items in a month. So really, if I just said, I'm not going to log any new features or anything, I'm just going to do what's in here, it would take maybe optimistically a little over a month to get all this stuff done. And then the game would be basically complete, minus the content, right? So it's like, yeah, it's getting there. It's getting to the point. It's been a long slog, but where the end is in sight. Random event node, nothing beats a good old random event. Will it be ambush or hidden treasure? Well, might be something else. Those are always fun. Yeah, I think, so I wouldn't classify that necessarily as a new feature. I think of events as content, right? So during the content phase of like finishing this game's development, new events are absolutely on the table for that. I still want to add an event type that's like a crossroads event where you visit the crossroads, maybe you get a little bit of a lore dump, and then you can visit any connected node from that crossroads. That is something that I still want to do. And then random event, yeah, random event could work really well. So would random event actually contain unique choices, or would it just be like one of the existing events and then you just get surprised by what it is? Because if it's just like one of the existing events and you get surprised by what it is, then that would be fine. Like that would be easy to do, I think, relatively. But if the random event actually has like brand new unique options, then that would be quite a lot. Anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Could be events that modify existing events, like a shop suddenly having 50% off. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that could work. Either a little story blurb or existing event, ideally, but either works. Yeah. I still do want to add like lore elements to the game, like story elements. I'm just trying to think about like what's the best way of doing that. Like, do I just give every event type a chance to give you like a lore drop, which you can read right there and then say, okay, and then it gets added to like your list of unlocks? Or do I make it like an explicit event type on the map? Like that, it wouldn't just be a lore dump. Like the event type would also do something else, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would do that. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for the stream. Thank you all again. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Like a loading screen lore and event, not a bad idea. Yeah, something like that. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.